All right, so we'll get started here. Thanks everybody for spending a little bit of time with us today. We're going to try to go through some very cool stuff or some very important things, actually. One of the things is we need to tell you, as always, as we do every week, that eTruckBiz is not endorsed or sponsored by FedEx Corporation. So, having said that, I'm hoping Becca's on here, and I'm hoping that Becca can talk to us about a common problem, folks.
I am on. Thank you. So many contractors work tirelessly to deliver great service, yet they find themselves trapped in a cycle of hard work without financial reward. This may sound familiar. This is the operator trap, where you're overwhelmed with complexity and yet your profit margins are still too thin. Your time is consumed on paperwork and daily tasks, which leaves no room to focus on making real money. So you're basically running a stressful job and not building a valuable asset. However, we can help to get you out of this trap. The eTruckBiz business growth and support system was created just for this. We will guide you to making your business easy to manage and lucrative by removing complexity, protecting your profit, and to build freedom. So if you take action now, we know peak is upon us and we want to help. You can go to eTruckBiz.com to schedule your free business opportunity analysis, where we will help look at everything and kind of create some goals for you and get a game plan going. And there are two paths forward. So either investor or operator, you choose today. If you take action, you're becoming an investor. If you still continue to wait, you are going to remain an operator in that operator trap. The system, it truly works, but you have to get started. So if you go to eTruckBiz.com, you can go ahead and get this scheduled. You can pull up my calendar, or you can always email me, Becca@eTruckBiz.com. Even if you want more information on what we would do during the session, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. The business growth and support system is as follows. We have 3 different programs included. The Budget IQ is going to focus on that financial planning and tracking for your business. Performance IQ is the operational monitoring and guidance. And Admin IQ is to eliminate the non-revenue producing tasks, that busy work that is necessary, but we want you to focus on other areas of the business. And then it all comes with our software.
Okay, thank you, Becca. And everybody wants to know, all eyes are on volume these days. Now, here's the thing. Pickup stops on the vans actually dropped below the trend line, which is pretty surprising. And the pickup packages on the vans are below last year at this point. So that wasn't something that a lot of people saw coming. The delivery volume, on the other hand, is slightly better, and it's definitely in better shape than last year, but we'll see. And I don't know, maybe even today people are starting to see some volume. I don't know yet, but just seems kind of flat, which is better than UPS, that's for sure. And then if you look at the routes dispatched and the stops per dispatch, the productivity, this is not good, folks. And we get it that there's an argument whether you can be as productive with time definites or not. Yes. Is that affecting the stops per dispatch? Probably, but this is a big deal. We got to watch this, right? Now, there's some news. A lot of you out there now know there are going to be some very aggressive Network 2.0 plans for the first half of 2026. A lot of you have been notified, actually, here very recently, that you're going 2.0 here pretty soon. So just know that there is a big opportunity associated with Network 2.0, but there is a problem. If you haven't already made the transition, we're here to tell you the operation is much more complex and can erode your margins if it's not handled well. We've been talking about this for a long time, but for sure, those that have already been there could tell you that. Some folks, when they transition to 2.0, become overwhelmed and nervous about the whole transition. Everybody gets nervous about it, but don't necessarily have to let it get to you. And the transition doesn't have to be that difficult. It is difficult if we plan and if we do some of the things up front that will help us get through it. It doesn't have to be that difficult. So one of the things that you're going to face right out the gate is an optimized Network 2.0 negotiation, or whatever they're calling it today. The good news is that Carrie Manders, the negotiation lady, is here to give us some guidance to help us get through this particular negotiation.
Thank you. So everybody's going to be transitioning to 2.0, and as Jeff said, they are getting very aggressive with 2026. In fact, some of you may be getting informed right now during peak that you are going to be moving to the 2.0 model as soon as first quarter of 2026. So if you didn't have enough on your plate already, here's some more to add to it. So we want to talk about some critical points for your 2.0 negotiation. As you're approaching the negotiation, it does require strategic preparation and awareness. So there's 5 critical points that'll help you navigate the process with confidence and to protect your long-term profitability as a contractor. The MESO offer is just the starting point. I know that when you go into the original or the first meeting you have to discuss the 2.0 transition, one of the first things that they like to tell you is you are going to be getting 3 offers, just as you have been with the negotiation process. However, we're not going to move the needle. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. Yes, you can sit there and listen, but I'm here to tell you that it is more important than ever to understand that you do have the option to negotiate. And it is especially important with these 2.0 contracts. So the initial MESOs, or multiple equivalent simultaneous offers, they're carefully calculated to meet FedEx's financial objectives, and they do not maximize the profitability for the contractor. Okay, we consider this a floor of the negotiation process, not a ceiling. They're the starting point. They're the baseline for negotiation. Accepting the first offer typically leaves a significant long-term revenue on the table, and I am here to attest to that to the high heavens. I can't emphasize that enough. The MESO represents the floor of your negotiation. You can treat it as an opening position or an opening offer that you are looking at. Your leverage exists in understanding that FedEx needs reliable contractors. So, you're being offered this opportunity and they want you to succeed. They want you to continue being a contractor. So do not rush to accept the terms that may undervalue your operational costs and your earning potential. Revenue left behind. Quick acceptance of a MESO offer often sacrifices long-term earnings. Again, you have to understand that this is a starting point. It requires strategy. So counter proposals that are backed by data, and the data that you get in the packets that are not small, mind you, they are large packets of information, may be a starting point, but we at eTruckBiz also have extensive data that may help you negotiate these contracts. So the data is your greatest weapon. It can also be a liability. FedEx's data advantage. So FedEx possesses a vast proprietary operational data across the entire network, and it gives them leverage in setting initial offer terms and predicting contractor responses. And you have no way of contradicting this data that FedEx presents you. Historical data may not reflect reality. This is very important. We are finding that the historical data that FedEx gives you in these packets do not actually represent what you'll experience when executing your new contract. Actual route conditions, package volumes, delivery patterns, and also resources needed differ significantly. Let's level the playing field. Without access to comparable objective data, you negotiate from a position of weakness. factual data-based evidence is the only credible way to challenge a generic offer and to advocate for better terms. So the key takeaway to this is invest in obtaining independent data analysis that eTruckBiz can provide you before the negotiation begins. Your ability to present objective evidence directly correlates with your negotiating power. Do not be intimidated. So let's focus on long-term contract value, not the signing bonus. Okay, don't fall for the upfront distraction. The signing bonus that is offered with the mesos, it is a powerful psychological tool designed to create urgency. It distracts from the long-term settlement rates that really determine your profitability. You must focus your remaining on maximizing the contract terms over the full duration. And the full duration may be 2 or 3 year contracts when you go into this 2.0 transition. These rates represent exponentially greater value than any immediate bonus. A modest improvement in per stop rates or mileage compensation compounds significantly over a multi-year contract, especially with increased volume over the length of this contract. And I also want to add a little bit here that the signing bonuses that FedEx is presenting with the 2.0 transition are exclusive from the negotiating process. And what I mean by that is it is a 3-tiered bonus that is not tied to the negotiation. So if it's not like you can either take or not take the bonus and work it into the contract. It is separate from the negotiating process. You will get those 3 amounts if you do what FedEx explains to you in the packet. So you want to address the experience gap and understand your true cost. This is another area that we've been finding FedEx is falling behind and not really representing the cost of this transition. Contractor experience. You negotiate infrequently, perhaps once every few years, with limited exposure to the full range of contract structures and precedents. The FedEx negotiators. Their negotiators conduct these discussions full-time, armed with sophisticated models, historical data, ceilings that they're supposed to not go beyond as far as revenue goes, and established playbooks for handling contractor objections. Leveling the playing field. Seeking specialized comparable negotiation expertise is essential to counter this imbalance and protect your interests. Financial clarity is non-negotiable. You must organize your operating expenses to align directly with the contract settlement charges. The budget IQ principle that eTruckBiz provides. This means understanding your costs per stop, your costs per mile, per delivery area, and how they map to FedEx's compensation structure. This can be a very complex analysis as far as trying to do it yourself. Without financial clarity, you cannot accurately measure whether a proposed offer is profitable for your specific route and operational model. Many contractors accept offers that appear favorable on paper, but they fail to cover actual operational realities. And a lot of you also will experience a change in definition. So you do not have the experience of the newly defined area that you may be given in the 2.0 transition. 2.0 optimized CSA negotiations can lead to a new lucrative area for your business. We've found that it is most likely that you will be making more money, you will be growing. Some have already transitioned and they are seeing the largest margins they've ever seen. It's been a great thing. Or, if not taken seriously, may lead to dwindling margins, which will add to your stress and get you trapped in a low margin business. If you go to www.etruckbiz.com/negotiation. You can get more information about this, get better educated, and reach out.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Carrie. That's the negotiation lady. She knows her stuff, folks. If you ever have met anybody, and probably a lot of you know, somebody that has had Carrie help you, she's the best. No question about it. So there's that. So that was good news. So we know recently there have been a lot of folks going through some adversity, right? We just talked about it, Network 2.0, labor markets the way it is. It's kind of been that way for a while. Increasing costs, leadership vacuum, increased compliance pressure, truck shortages and whatnot. Stress levels currently are as high as ever. But even with all of that going on, there are some folks that are doing well. And I'm hoping Mr. Rusty is on here and we'd like to have Rusty, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, thank you for that broad stroke intro. Doing well is a pretty big phrase, isn't it? That
It
changes
is.
minute to minute with FedEx, but at the moment, I think we can claim that victory.
I think you can. So can we just want to ask you some questions, how you went. We want to hear your story, right? So let's go to the next slide here. Can you tell us where you're at, how many dispatches you do daily?
Yeah, so we started out with a vision of hoping to gain 3 entities in our first year to 2 years. And we found an amazing CSA in Panama City 324 that had just been awarded the privilege of going through 2.0. So our stand-up date got pushed because, FedEx delayed anyone standing up during that time period, which was a gift to us because it gave the 16-year-old veteran AO at the time. No one could work through those changes better than someone who's been there for a very long time. So they navigated the first few months, actually through the first peak with 2.0. And then we stepped in, I guess, midstream of peak or somewhere around that time. So Panama City was our first CSA and it was 2.0. So listening to you describe, don't get nervous, don't get scared. It depends on if you like scary movies or not. So it depends on who's on your team. Do you have the right people on the bus? We do a lot of leadership meetings and read a lot of leadership books. And with eTruck on our bus, the bus would not have survived. So I'll keep going down my journey. So we're a year into it. And in that year, we found some successes. We branched out. We have another CSA in East Point, Georgia, south of Atlanta, that services Albany, Georgia. And that's pre 2.0. So it's to see the difference in real time. It's like having 2 kids. And one kid just makes straight A's and the other one just can't seem to get his lunchbox and take it to school. So, and sometimes it's just that simple. My business partner likes to use the visual of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and what that does for us. So location, South Florida, we bought a business for a really great deal. We had about 17 to 18 dispatches daily. And through peak, that the volume came in and we were about 23 to 24. But he ran a great business. He had a lot of trust. He had a very good BC. And so walking through our first peak, we were the only van line, a 7-van line building, great terminal, great leadership there that had the 1030 expresses. Everyone else had 12 and then the rest of the day. So looking at what a 1030 express does to a van line when you're 29 minutes away from your very first stop and trying to figure out being that far away from Atlanta with trucks coming in late all the time. It was a challenge. We were successful. I think we're the guinea pig for FedEx in a lot of ways, learning as they drew out their map of what it should look like, learning what could actually happen. And we were really successful, I think, with our service score. We fell a little bit short daily. So 98.5 is the mark you have to hit for those 1030s or any priority overnight. And we came in at 94.8, probably a lot of times. So they were able to restructure that in our favor. So the first year, starting with peak, everything else seemed downhill after that, and it was. But we were AOs who wanted to be, my business partner and I are high school best friends, college best friends. Stayed in touch. 20 years later, we decided to do a business that had a 10 to 15 year kind of plan to it. And FedEx, everything kept landing on FedEx because of no marketing, no sales, just to deliver the package and life is good. So we knew that living in Atlanta and Gainesville, that we wanted to be absentee owners. We wanted to trust our leadership. We wanted to hire consultants, not waste money, but we wanted to just sit back and really enjoy and be leaders and speak into it. And we went through a couple of promises that didn't quite materialize before we did find eTruckBiz and partner with eTruckBiz and everything that you guys have already seen in the slideshows. And it was a very tough journey up until that point, because FedEx, as you all know, it's gonna be challenging no matter what, and we can weather that storm. But without the right resource, without the right consultant, without the right assistant BC, anything and everything you want to call whoever your resource is, without eTruck, it would have been devastating. We had about 5 months into it, 3 months after peak, we had a BC quit on us. And it was unfortunate because this BC had been with FedEx for a lot of years, been a BC for 6 years, but been in the BC in the pre 2.0. And this particular BC just couldn't grasp what FedEx needed from any CSA moving forward. And it became what we called an executive BC moving forward. It wasn't just quote unquote a maintenance ground BC. It was executive, learning how to communicate, answers to questions, responding to emails, just things that they couldn't grasp. And in the process of his departure, we call it the worst embezzlement that we've ever experienced. He took 6 drivers the day he quit, and they walked. And that put us immediately into contingency. And it was almost something that we couldn't recover from, because at the exact same time, Amazon had opened a terminal literally right across our parking lot, and had been recruiting heavily in Panama City and offering to pay $235 a day, advertised on TV, radio. And as you guys know, what you pay your regular drivers, it was really hard. We lost 2 more drivers immediately to increase pay with Amazon. So it was almost impossible to recruit, even with recruiting service we had. We had 2 going at the time, and our previous AO continued to help with Indeed and his resources, and we couldn't recruit. So we stayed in contingency for 8+ months. And if anyone's been through that terrible road of contingency, you know the price that comes with that. And that's where we found eTruckBiz, because we were
Well,
desperately
I tell you what, Rusty,
Yep.
I'm gonna so you have Mason Wells as your administrative services manager, what you get with the program. I'll let her ask you some of these questions here, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Hi guys, hi Rusty. So as Jeff mentioned, I am Sugar Sands, Rusty's and his partners, business partners, administrative services manager. So all 3 of us know each other very well. But I will go ahead and ask you some questions here. And in terms of what I do as your guys' administrative services manager, just for the people who are here, run your payroll, we do your First Advantage and your recruiting and things of that nature, all that administrative work that you guys don't have to do, right? So with that in mind, what motivated you and Dustin, your business partner there, to explore FedEx contracting, the space in the first place?
Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one. I just got really excited to talk about it because it's easy to talk about it when Mason's anywhere on the phone. She makes life incredibly easy. We wanted to build a business. We wanted to be investors in something that showed an incredible promise for a future, something that would be self-supported, easy to run. So we looked into a lot of different spaces, and everything kept pointing back to FedEx. You know, it's like buying an apartment building that has 10 apartments in it and it's fully rented for 10 years. Why would you not? And there's very little maintenance cost, and it shows a great profit margin. So that's what FedEx kind of was. And we thought, wow. So we really dug into it. We really looked a lot. We got to cherry pick the CSA we wanted to purchase. And that's why, because we wanted 10+ years in something that we could do a great profit margin on, and that we wouldn't have to do really any sales and marketing. And it's a great concept for a business that looked like e-commerce was continuing to grow. Fuel was in a great place globally, and everything pointed to a solid yes. So we jumped in.
Gotcha. All right. So then the next question here, Jeff, is what specific outcomes or benefits were you hoping to achieve when you decided to enter this space?
We wanted to really enjoy working with the concept of people and trucks. And I build movies for a living in my other job, and Dustin's a financial wealth manager. And we really enjoyed the communication side of running a business. And as much as we enjoyed the profit margin longevity, we really wanted to get in and get a chance to join a leadership team that was already working really well and kind of take something and add a little bit more, I guess, icing on the cake and really make our relationship with our whole entire team just more special for them and always point recognition and reward back to the team that was working with us.
All right. And then what challenges or obstacles have you encountered that are from preventing you from achieving those initial goals when you entered the space? I know we've talked about a couple, and you guys have, it was kind of a domino effect. I've been here through the whole thing, so I know the whole story. But what were some of those challenges or obstacles that you have encountered?
I think for us in any busy terminal, it's taken from the BC point of view, and we've read something called the anatomy of BC, and we really believe in it. And it really is a mindset. We take a mindset that's spread across 4 or 5 duties daily. It spreads it too thin. Any bandwidth that does that won't be as successful if they can focus on just leadership. And for us, recruiting was kind of always a challenge for the things I've already mentioned with a BC who was incredibly busy trying to step out of quicksand a lot of those first initial months. It was hard to do payroll. It was hard to do a lot of the administrative executive type of responsibilities that a BC should be able to handle. So we were trying to juggle a lot of balls and look for help in those areas just so our BC could focus on the relationship with the drivers.
Gotcha. Okay, so in your experience, what has been the most frustrating aspect of your journey that has hindered your project progress? Like, what's the most frustrating part of it?
If I could
As I'm sure
name
most people on this call probably have similar ones. What would be your most?
Shame on us because a person's name comes to mind, but it shouldn't, right? As leaders.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah, we can never put your eggs in a basket ever, but we've all done it. I think the most frustrating aspect of it is looking at the business model itself. I never want to simplify anything and say it's easy, but when you look at what FedEx, a great customer, with great leadership in our terminal, is asking us to do, it really does seem when you put 1, 2, 3, 4 dominoes up, they should line up and fall properly every single time. What we're asking our team to do, because what we're asked to do, I know that we can accomplish it. And the tough part about it is when something out of our control disrupts that, I think is really the most frustrating part of it, because you guys, as everyone knows on this call, let's say you have 15 resources on the road, you have 10 rock stars, 3 good ones, and you're always at the mercy of 2 personalities. So the tough part is the personalities that you've trained and just on their own, out of no way, two people in a 2.0 terminal can ruin the entire day. One person, one route can. That's the frustrating part.
I can attest to that. Seen that happen for you. Has your experience as a FedEx contractor impacted your business confidence or peace of mind? Like this experience that you've gone through, has it impacted it at all?
Yes, but surprisingly not in a negative way, because Dustin, my partner, and I, we're right on the same page, and we know that it will work. Everything we've seen and studied and watched and grown into shows that everything works. Our successful CSA in Atlanta shows that it works. So instead of allowing it to frustrate us, it really poured us into the search for more and better resources, just so we do get it right sooner than later.
Right. Sooner than later is definitely the right term for that, I'd say. Yeah, right. What led you to discover eTruckBiz? And what made you decide to partner with us as your guide in this whole traversing the FedEx contracting space?
Well, I can't take credit for it. I can't even try to take credit for it. Dustin, my business partner, is wealth management. So he has an incredible knowledge of resources that they do to try to manage billions of dollars for their clients around the world. Really used to looking into help. Always hire better than you, always hire smarter than you. And if you look at the amount of money you invest in that, it's worth every penny of every investment to bring teams in that can make everything right, especially when you have a customer like FedEx that has to operate in perfection. It's like the military. You either live or you die daily, and FedEx is very same way. So we had hired other people to help with recruiting. We've hired other consultants, and we just kept kind of missing the mark. And as much as they give you a menu of not just a la carte, but hey, here's all the things we do, they would do 1 or 2, but not 3 or 4 or 5. And we came across eTruckBiz, researched, studied, and it seemed to be everything. I was like, where have these people been? And are they real is the question, because we've been through two already. And we found you guys. And from the initial meetings, from the very beginning, it was just real. Your pitch, your presentation, your efficiency, the years and years of experience, because you're not just a consulting firm with ideas. You've got boots on the ground, pre 2.0, 2.0, every scenario under the sun. You guys have seen it. And so it's like being able to go into a war room with 15 generals who've won every war that the world has ever seen. And that's kind of what we get with you guys. And then Mason, you in particular with our ASM, the problems that we had with recruiting, the problems we had with payroll, that seems like making peanut butter jelly sandwiches, because they are, we couldn't figure it out. You guys stepped in and you truly made all of that seamless and easy for us. And it just continues to grow and grow as we take the wrong people off the bus and stop trying to do it on our own. Listen to you guys. The more we listen to you, the more we get it right.
Exactly. That's good. We like that. Good. So our business growth and support system, can you describe how the plan or plans that you're on, so our business growth system, so that admin IQ we provided to you has helped you start overcome those obstacles and achieve your goals. So you had your goal from the beginning. How has being on that program helped you start to overcome your obstacles here?
Well, I think what it did immediately, it simplified our organization. When you take 5 or 6 duties off a really busy person and narrow it to 1 or 2, and then you guys did a tremendous amount of organizing for us. And organizing is a beautiful thing when you see it in real time. So right away, that is what we experienced. And that, I think that slowed it down, because when we found you guys, we were in deep quicksand, deep contingency. You don't want to throw money around terms, but more than $20,000 a month in penalty payments. If we were just, are we in the right business? You don't want to second guess yourself, but when you're in quicksand, you're thinking, I don't see a rope, I don't see a vine, I'm laying flat, but we're still sinking. And then all of a sudden, eTruckBiz comes out of somewhere with a rope, and the rope was attached to a really firm foundation that immediately got us organized. And with that, we were able to see clear, hear clearly, and breathe clearly.
What would you say to someone who was considering partnering with eTruckBiz with us and utilizing that business growth and support system to help them grow and support their FedEx business? Like, what would you say to someone that's thinking, hey, maybe I'd like to reach out to eTruckBiz and try it?
I would be like any selfish child does, and I would say, no, keep your hands off Mason. She's ours. You can't have her. That's exactly what we would say first. And then we'd say, there's probably someone else there that's just as good, just as talented. But if you need more organization, if you feel like you're an AO who's investing too much time than you thought leaning into this business, eTruckBiz is a great resource to get you organized. And when you get organized, the chaos does stop, because there's not a terminal out there that doesn't have its issue. And when someone can help manage the communication between all the issues immediately, the past few months, even in contingency, when things are more organized, Dustin and I thought, wow, the phone didn't ring. This is how it's supposed to be. We told our BC to call Mason to figure things out, because they know everything, and they actually did it. We're not running our business. We're allowing our team to run our business. And that's a very comforting feeling for an AO.
I got a bonus question for you. What if somebody said, well, I'd like to get on the system. I listened to that Rusty guy. He said they were pretty good, but it's going to be peak, and I just need to not do it because it's peak. What would you say to that?
I would say, of all the times in the year that everyone needs more assistance, more help, more guidance, certainly is peak. And recruiting is the number one thing in preparing for peak, because you can always get a rental truck. You can always get those things lined up. Recruiting, if you have to go through 50 people, the man hours that it takes to go through that, and they narrow it to at least 5 quality out of the 50, that in itself is a great way to be prepared for peak. And eTruck has done that for us better than any recruiting service that we've had yet. Even our the previous AO, for sure, before we bought it, we've never seen the ground gained. And even with 5, 2 stay. So it has to be something that generates all the time. That's a full-time job. That in itself is certainly worth just the small little channel of recruiting that you guys will provide for peak. and then helping with everything, just getting trucks, getting ready, getting rental, schedule Bs, anything and everything that a BC doesn't really have time to do, using those resources as well. A tremendous time to lean into, you guys, would be pre-peak.
All right. What do you think could have happened to you? This is a very loaded question since I am well aware of what the answer is. What do you think could have happened to your business if you chose not to take action and implement the strategies that we've discussed? I know you and Dustin and I, we've been in the 11th hour, and we've sat here as a team and said, look, this is where we are. This is what we think we should do. What do you think could have happened if you didn't take action when you needed to?
Well, as you guys all know, FedEx does not give you much time to do anything. And our terminal is wonderful, but they also have leadership they have to answer to. And the term at the end of the rope does come for people, and that did come for us. So if you see Jeff's hand down there on those dominoes right there, and he gives a hard swipe to his left, all the dominoes just literally fall off the table. And we were at a hard stop. And had we not leaned into our plan and written so many RFAs we can't write anymore, right? And there's several OTCs with service. If we didn't finally start to do what we wrote in those plans, it would have been finished. And without AI, which is basically eTruckBiz for us, we just say, hey, AI, hey, eTruckBiz, what do we need to write in here? What do we need to do? Please tell us how to do it. And at a certain point, we just gave the wheel to them, trusting in Bob and Ken and Jeff's leadership that they really know what they're talking about. The dominoes would have been pushed off the table in early October for us.
All right. So I can attest to this because I see your guys' daily report every day from Ken, but your service results are now very good in your terminal. Has your perspective on your FedEx contracting journey changed since working with us at eTruckBiz, and what positive direction do you now see for achieving your initial goals? So we talked about your initial goals. Now that we're here, how do you feel about that positive direction you guys are seeing?
Yeah, well, when the smoke clears, you can see clearly. And when you're in kind of trouble, you don't see clearly. And now the smoke is mostly cleared. And what you guys have done, you've allowed us to remember why we went into this business to begin with. And at the end of the day, we're all business owners. We need to see profit. We need to see yield. We need to see growth. And the way you guys do even your daily yield reports for us, it puts a fleet that can look like just a van line, and it puts it in proper order, and it organizes it so that we can actually put a business mindset to it of efficiency. And at the end of the day, when everything's working right, everyone did what they were supposed to do, everyone showed up to work, and they do that multiple days, you can take things, and with what you guys do and how you organize it and how you simplify it, we can see literally per route how we can move through DRO and FRO to make it as not as greedy profitable, but just as smart, efficient as possible. And we can now see that that's happening in real time. We're actually starting to move our DRO to plan around efficiency, get our average stops up and things like that, the way we knew we could in the first couple of months. Getting through the issues, now we can see clearly we can approach that again, and we are approaching it again daily.
So beyond the software, which I know we're in the process of really getting you guys into the software in terms of we're working with me and the software team, but beyond the software, what value did the personalized guidance or coaching component of the business growth system offer, particularly in building your confidence as a new business leader?
Well, a new business leader, 1 year into it, we have a grasp. I mean, we've gone through boot camp, but we don't have 20 years. We haven't seen every scenario under the sun. We don't have answers. We don't have explanations. What we stepped into this doing was just lead people who were smarter than us, lead people. But unfortunately, there haven't been a lot of people who've been smarter than us. And I hate to use that term. It sounds awful along the way, simply because of the results that we've been handed. So to finally have
See, we're not smarter than you. We've just touched the stove so many times that our thumbs are burnt off. That makes sense to you. I mean,
that does make sense.
This business is actually not that tough. It's just if you're going to hit the wall, hey, you guys are going to hit the wall. And then either you can hit the wall or you can turn, right? It can be done though. And that's really what we wanted to get across here today is you can be, and I don't know if you're shy about saying this or not, but you guys were in trouble, and actually pretty serious trouble. And from where you guys were to where you are now, that's about as good as it gets. You guys really turned it around. I mean, I'm proud of what you guys did.
Yeah, full disclosure, we'd come to the end. Every plan that we had that was a solid plan, it failed. The people failed us, the leaders that led those people failed us. And we were given a termination, an agreement to sign an early termination to get rid of the gazillions of dollars of penalties of 8 months of contingency will do to you. And Dustin and I came together and we said, we're not finished yet. We finally have the solution. We finally have the plan. And finally have the plan is a true statement because we did eTruckBiz over multiple months, sifting through what was keeping us from the plan being executed was finally in our lap. And I went to our leaders. I said, we finally have everything that you've been asking for us. And it's not, there's no BS here. We finally have it. Are you really going to allow us to work the next 3 weeks and give you everything that we promised? And then you're going to make me leave the building with my 14 trucks when we finally get it right? We're here. So somehow by graces, something landed and we were able to take the plan we had and said, well, they finally said, if you can do this and prove you can do this, then this is literally your last chance because you're within X amount of months of your renegotiation. So they decided to extend a little more favor. But if we didn't have the plan and we didn't have multiple weeks after terrible months, multiple weeks showing the plan actually did work, we would not have been alive. We would have walked out of there October the 5th. And eTruck, they helped design, develop, walk with the plan, and the plan it saved our CSA and even October 5th seems like yesterday, but we've been incredibly efficient for more than 10 weeks and we've done everything the plan is going to do with the exception of that one or two personalities. It's just going to bring a truck back in the middle of the day. But as far as a company as a whole, numbers and what we look at and efficiency, we've done everything FedEx has really asked us to do as a CSA for 10 weeks.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And I want to, on behalf of everybody at eTruckBiz, I want to thank you for coming on here today. I would like to know if anybody out there has any questions, and I know what's going to happen. This video on YouTube is going to get hundreds of hits, and all those folks are going to have questions. But is there anybody on here that has any questions for Rusty? And I know there's a few of you on here. They're on the fence, trying to get into the program. Better have some questions.
Well, and if they don't have any questions, Jeff, there are a couple while they're typing. There are a couple of questions in the webinar chat. If you wanted me to read those for you.
Well, the first one, the one here, it's for Miss Carrie. It says, in terms
Exactly.
of percentage, how much higher do you negotiate above the value of the MESO? Is there an answer for that?
Well, first of all, the value of the MESO is already inflated by the growth percentage that FedEx fraudulently, I don't know, however you want to put it, but they increase the value of the contract by a growth percentage already. So you have to eliminate the growth percentage, and I can't put a percentage on every CSA is different. The negotiating elements may be skewed for one person and not another. So that is a hard question. There isn't really a percentage I can put on it.
Okay. I mean, that's the answer. I don't know what to add to that. That's just it. A lot of these negotiations also are different. Everything's different. Everybody's CSA characteristics are different. There's just all kinds of things to it. Our friends at FedEx know that they can confuse folks and whatnot. So just here's our advice. Have Carrie help you. That's it. That's as easy as it gets.
Agreed.
Okay.
I would like to
Yeah.
ask the next question to Rusty. Oh, yep, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You beat me to it. I saw a question from Ryan there. Yeah. Is that what you were going to mention?
I was going to mention that one because I would like to ask it. What was the problem child and what was the good child?
It's hard to place blame on something or narrow it, if a team loses a game, but really the difference between 2.0 and not 2.0 is your BC. Everything comes out. It is different but different in a growth perspective, because with 2.0, as a CSA, there's incredible opportunity for us to increase our revenue. And if you're efficient with your revenue, then you have increased profit. So it's a wonderful thing, and that's where it's heading. So if it's heading there, we might as well get it right. And if you don't have a leader who can just manage charging batteries and organizing and getting a schedule, and we don't want to use the term in the wrong way, but we call it a mechanic BC, right? Tactical BC. And then we have an executive BC, someone that now, when you have a P&D manager, your terminal, senior terminal, starts wondering what happened and why'd you use this code? Why was this handsheet? And you don't ever answer them. And you've only just kind of gone in the office and talked to them. Well, there's a paper trail there, and they send us, they call me. There's a lot of things that needed to step forward in a very wonderfully and efficient way that our BC couldn't grow into. And so they kept duct taping and band-aiding things with no clear answers. And then it led us into bronze. And it just dug deeper and deeper and multiple months into bronze. So really it is the mindset of your BC, because when you are delivering packages like the United States Postal Service without 2.0, you've got all day to do it. They used to do it. That's all they've ever known. All of a sudden you put a time-sensitive urgency with measured meant against that with FedEx either pass or fail you, it changes everything. And even drivers on your team, 15 drivers, like, why would we have to do this? Doesn't matter. Why in the world would I'm right here. Why would I drive down there 2.5 miles, put those 7, then circle way back here? I got soccer practice. Why would I want to do that? They don't understand why we need to optimize, and that 10:30 has to be delivered before 10:30 when it pulls them off route. So your leader, if they can explain that and understand it, even why they understand it, they can then lead the team for all those changes. So it all comes down to your BC. Do they understand really what 2.0 is asking of them, so they can lead either current drivers or new drivers into that?
Basically, Ryan's asking more.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the easier way is a good child, right? Not pre 2.0, it was just easier. It's less measured responses from FedEx on us, less requirements from FedEx, so it was easier. But as a business who knows and watches hundreds of AO videos and how they made the transition and they're successful in 2.0, you can be a lot more profitable. And we're just a business who wants to be profitable. So the opportunity for growth is much greater once we get into 2.0. And I believe it all is really heading there. So the answer easier is pre 2.0, but with the right leader, I think, and someone like eTruck, 2.0 can feel just as easy from an AO's point of view with being more profitable.
Yeah, he says because
Hey,
I'm on the
Rusty.
precipice of one in each category.
I say,
Yeah, and I think too, the 2.0, you got to start managing by the hour. The 10:30's got to be done by 10:30. The noons, and that's the old BC, the old way of thinking. The old dogs have got to learn the new tricks, or you need to find a new dog. But now you got to start managing by the hour, and if you don't, that's where FedEx is going to start slapping you. And that's the last thing we ever want is our hand slapped. But they will, and then all of a sudden you're in trouble. But you've got to manage it by the hour now.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say this from being Rusty's. I run both their payrolls in both operations and do their admin type stuff, and I can say this from a virtual admin type space, 2.0, non 2.0. I mean, there's a big correlation between what he's saying with your manager, and if they aren't able to do simple tasks, if they're not able to keep track of who worked and on what day and things of that nature, it directly correlates to they're not going to be able to manage down to the hour on each package either. If they're not able to, like, they used, and he's right, Dustin does use the peanut butter and jelly analogy quite often, but if they're not able to do that, then 2.0 is going to be a whole nother issue. So if you are going into network 2.0, management and how their management style and how well they handle what they currently are able to do is a really good indicator of that, because we had some issues with that with our management team and stuff, and it's gotten ironed out really well in terms of, I don't have any issues with payroll anymore and everybody's communicating and it's great. And then it directly correlates to them being able to handle, hour by hour the packages they're getting off the trucks.
Okay. Last call for questions, comments. If we don't have any more, we're gonna thank Mr. Rusty. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on here and sharing your experiences with the folks. And I'm telling you, you watch how many hits this video gets on YouTube. Once it gets up there, a lot of people are gonna want to listen to it. So anyway, if nobody has anything else right now, we'll see you next Tuesday at this same time. See you later. Bye.